if you find out your partner has previously cheated in other relationships, is that a red flag?
I mean, I don't necessarily ascribe to red, hard, fast, like, because I believe that behavior can change.
So is anything a red flag other than this dark tetrad?
No effort is the red flag. If
criminal history at all?
This is interesting. I have plenty of family members who have been incarcerated and who are some of the best people in the world.
I've met a lot of them, actually.
Yeah.
Met a lot of incarcerated people that are morally better, more sound than anybody I know.
Than anybody I know. I would trust them with my with my child, you know? I think no effort is a red flag. When you have a partner who says, nah, that therapy, I'm not going to do that. What? Watch a video on active listening? Psh, I'm not going to do that. What you're talking about? We need to do a trust exercise? No, I'm not. That is a red flag. The dark tetrad, those are red flags. I can't think of any others.
I had a really random question I wanted to ask you as well, which is, if you don't want to do something in a relationship, it kind of leads to what you were just saying there. If you don't want to do something, should you tell your partner? So your wife goes to you, Paul, hey, Paul, I want to go watch this ballet thing. Do you want to come?
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, you have no desire to go and watch the ballet.
Yes.
Right? How does one respond?
Are you asking for a friend?
Yeah, for a friend, yeah. For a friend.
Oh my God. All right.
No, because like something I've been thinking about a lot lately, which is like, me and my partner have talked about it a lot, which is, if I ask her if she wants to do something,
yes,
should she tell me the truth and go, no, I don't want to go watch Manchester United play? Or should she just come along and do it because she should be helping me meet my needs?
Yeah. All right. To answer that question, it's really about your history in resolving conflict. And have you been able to resolve conflict as a partnership in a healthy way? Because what ends up happening in relationships is, let's say before she asks you about Manchester United, right? You've had a disagreement, but the disagreement was not resolved. And there's pain on her side, pain on your side. Well, she's going to learn, and it will be reinforced to not be truthful with you, because she knows that you as a couple have an inability to resolve conflict, and therefore she wants to protect herself. And oftentimes what ends up happening in relationships is that patterns, toxic behaviors, patterns are reinforced time and time and time again. So you get to a point where, of course, you can't tell each other the truth, because the moment that you do, there's an explosion. That's why it's important. You have to build. A great relationship is just like you're just adding a layer on top of a layer on top of a layer on top of a layer, very thin, a piece of paper. And every time that you're able to do something good as a partnership, every time you affirm your partner, she affirms you, you resolve conflict, whatever it may be, it's another layer that's added to that partnership. And as you're growing, it affords you the opportunity to be more bluntly transparent. To the point where I walk out, my wife's like, why you have those leather trousers on? Like, those are ridiculous. Like, we're at the point where we can, in a most blunt way, be ridiculously authentic with each other. And it's because we have stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of previous foundation of history. So I can't immediately say, walk out and be ultra transparent, because I don't know what the history is. But if you have a strong history and you're able to resolve conflict in a healthy way, then you are able to be even more transparent. It's, relationships are this constant balance of checking in, understanding your partner's feelings, affirming what those feelings are, understanding your desires, what your feelings are, ensuring that they're affirmed. It's constant. It's constantly moving, which is why I always say it's like the marriage, there's never stagnation in a partnership. You're never just this. You're either growing or the relationship is dying.
People that you've spoken to that are struggling in their relationships, do you think they have this opinion that the relationship is going to fix their problems?
Yes. Yeah. I think we walk into relationships and we think it's the end. We think that's check. Done. It's not. It's where the work begins. And we have to change this. And a lot of this has to do with, and I put some of the blame on me. I think some of this is television. Some of this is the, a lot of people call it the Disneyfication, of relationships. We misunderstand and misinterpret our role in relationships.
How?
I fundamentally believe that the number one reason for breakups is not, we hear reports all the time that it's finance, it's infidelity, it's none of those things. You know what it is? It's we pick bad partners. We select the wrong partners, or we don't make the selection at all. Many of us, and unfortunately I see this a lot with heterosexual women, is they allow themselves to be selected, opposed to making the choice themselves. So the first part is are we choosing the strongest partners for us? That's one. And then once we have chosen the partner, then are we working together to help our partner unveil their best self? The Michelangelo effect, and Eli Finkel writes about this, where, Michelangelo would never look at a stone and say, I'm going to carve this beautiful statue. Instead, he'd look at the stone and say, I'm going to unveil this beautiful piece of art, this beautiful statue that's in the stone. That's how we should look at our partner, is that we all have this beautiful statue within us. And when you find the strongest partner, that allows you to see that. I know you've had Dr. Waldinger on. Phenomenal. He says it in his research. You live longer, you're happier, you make more money. You get all of the benefits when you choose a strong partner. But if you choose a weak partner, not only do you not live as long, not only are you not as happy, not only are you more unhealthy, but you can literally suffer not just emotional and psychological distress. There is a rise of domestic violence that is happening in these relationships around the world. So you could literally suffer death by choosing the wrong partner. And so it goes to show how important the decision is. This is a life or death decision.
I want to go into all of those things you said about selecting poorly, and the life and death decision that comes with psychopaths and narcissists and all that stuff. What's interesting is when you say to me that the work starts at the relationship, there's part of me that goes, oh. Do you know what I mean? Because in the movies, I was thinking of all these movies I'd seen in New York where there's a twist, there's a turn, and then there's a happily ever after, and the movie ends. And you think when the movie ends, in all of these movies that we've watched for 10, 20, 30 years, you think that is the end. You think they live happily ever after. I watched the turmoil, I watched the battle, and then they live happily ever after. If that movie was to be extended, any movie we've seen, romantic movie, what you'd then see is another 30 years of bullshit. But we don't see that. So I was just thinking, where did we get this idea from that the work stops when we find the person?
Yeah, it's coming. So it's coming from a couple places. One is that's where it did stop at one point. You think about the pragmatic stage, the romantic stage. That was all you needed. You just needed the partner. It didn't matter. You didn't have to do any work with the partner. So we have gotten this honestly as a society, but also it's what pop culture, it's what media, it's what it feeds us. But I would say, don't look at it as hard, distasteful work.
Yeah.
Instead, here's a better way. Let's reframe it. Reframe the negative, right? Is this podcast, right? Incredible. One skill, you're probably learning incredible skills doing this. One of which I'm sure is your active listening is off the charts now, compared to what it maybe was day one. Now, if you thought active listening, I'm going to learn active listening during this podcast, did you think then it would be grueling? I don't think so. I think that you probably saw that as a great life skill. I can come in here, I'm going to not only I'm going to do all this incredible things, but I'm also going to develop skills. And these skills are transferable to everything I do. That's how we should look at our relationship. Look at it that way. You are going to learn incredible skills that are transferable across your life. And as you develop those skills, the whole tide rises. You're going to develop new skills and better master new skills, and then apply those to your business, apply those to your platonic relationships. So it's a wonderful thing. And when you are in a secure relationship, it's boring as hell. It's boring, which is why, not to get myself into trouble, but when you're watching television and you're watching these shows around relationships, actually, I'll give an example. I will give an example. When I got here to the UK, I started on a show called Celebs Go Dating, and then I very quickly went to a show called Married at First Sight UK. And when I was on Married at First Sight UK, my first series, it was a full docuseries, and we matched couples, and it was boring. You know why it was boring? Because they all loved each other. They all really liked each other. And out of that group of 4 couples, 3 of them are together today.
Wow.
Right? But you ask anyone in the UK, did you see that series? They'll say, no, we didn't see that because it's boring. And then you change things and you get couples who can still work, but there's tension, right? For a variety of reasons, there's tension. And then it gets exciting. And so one thing that I always say is, great love looks boring, but it feels great.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.